Welcome back to our attendees. Our next speaker, Mr. Christian Kotze, Senior Pre-Sales Consultant, Middle East at VEEAM Software, speaking on today's topic, DR and backup services supporting the digital enablement. Over to you, Christian.
Good afternoon, everybody, and very welcome to today's session. Like mentioned, we're going to talk about backup and DR, enabling digital transformation for the health sector. My name is Christian Kotze, and I'm a senior pre-sales consultant for VEEAM Middle East. So 2020 had a lot of surprises for everybody. And of course, the beginning of that was the pandemic. And it caused a lot of course, uncertainty and challenges. And challenges not just for the business, but privately to everybody worldwide. So if customers, if you adapted and transformed, you would have learned a lot, and you've been growing as a company, and you've been connecting to customers. And a good example for this is how the health industry has changed is that a lot of the non-physical staff requirements could go home and work remotely. So providing that for people working in the health industry, also providing applications, mobile apps, websites where people could remotely book appointments for doctor appointments, and also do bookings for doctor appointments and also see them virtually through camera, and gave them the necessary help. And also part of that was, that people could see their results on apps, and of course, on web interfaces, and then get their medication automated delivered to them. So if people developed and that, it would have been a problem, and that's adapting to it. What you can see is that one of the statements made of the Chief Executive Officer of Microsoft last year, that we have seen 2 years worth of digital transformation in just 2 months. And that was true, because if you didn't adapt, you're losing out as a business, as a healthcare, in the healthcare industry. Now, you can see 53% of CEOs says growth remains number one strategic priority, and that's important. And 75% of CEOs believe that digital transformation is the number one activity to drive top revenue growth. And this is digital transformation, of course, at the end of the day, is driving the business. And this is very important. Now, what is stopping digital transformation? It's a lack of IT skills or transformative expertise, dependencies on legacy systems and technology. And of course, the big thing always that is always a challenge is the lack of time and the budget. And when it's in difficult times like this, it makes it even more challenging. Overcoming important digital transformation challenges is free yourself from maintaining fragmented legacy systems for data protection, backup, and recovery. Release trapped data and drive flexible across all platforms. Mitigate risk and reduce IT through intelligent automated systems. And of course, provide seamless data security, protecting your data, customers, and brand. Now, what's important is VEEAM is to be the VEEAM's most trusted provider of backup solutions that deliver cloud data management. And just a thing in VEEAM numbers is VEEAM's headquarters, of course, is in Switzerland, but it's a privately owned American company. And if you look at 82% of the global 2000 and Fortune 500 of VEEAM customers, and we are in 160 countries with 4,500 employees. We have more than 400,000 customers, and last year's bookings were 1.1 billion in bookings 2020. Now, what's important from VEEAM's side is that we are 3.5 times more than the industry average for customer satisfaction. That's very important. And if you look at the NPS index compared to other companies, even other industries, you will see VEEAM is a 75 index, where industry average for our industry is 21. And you can compare us with Netflix, that's a 68. And that shows you how happy customers are with our solution. Now, here are some VEEAM customers in Oman from different industries. This is not all the customers. This is just highlighting some companies in Oman that's using VEEAM in different industries. Now, VEEAM has been the clear market the last few years, and you can see by Gartner named a leader again. Forrester has also mentioned VEEAM a leader of the pack, and also IDC #1 market share growth. And this is highlighted by Gartner last year. If you look at data protection, you can see Gartner source is July 2020, that VEEAM is #1 in the leaders quadrant. So it means VEEAM is very trusted by customers, and the right choice for data protection. We've been #1 in EMEA in market share for the last few years. That's very important to note. And then what we want to focus on is, what is cloud data management out of a VEEAM point of view? So there is a few pillars, and one of being backup recovery. Why people like the product is you don't have to babysit the product. You set up a backup and it just works. And this is a slogan that we got a few years ago from our customers. You set it up, you leave it, and it does its own thing. And that means it clears a lot of resources with your team, that they can start focusing on other stuff than babysitting backups and disaster recovery. It's also fully software defined. That's very important today, with hybrid cloud and whatever. You don't want to be dependent. A lot of vendors out there is dependent on, of course, yes, hardware. We are hardware agnostic. That means we support all different hardware, different environments. We fully software defined. Cloud mobility, that means we have native backups for cloud and DR, and automated data retention. So automatically you can put backups in the cloud, recover in the cloud. You can do backups in the cloud, put it back on-prem, and you can do it. It's about availability of your systems, and that's VEEAM is quite very good at. Governments and compliance, everybody for the last few years, they talk about ransomware protection, and then there's a lot of ransomware protection from VEEAM side, and data security and compliance assessment. The other pillar is monitoring and analytics, AI-driven monitoring and diagnostics. It's not just about running a backup. You want to know what's happening in your virtualization. How do I plan to add more resources? If something goes wrong, it tells you beforehand, and it helps you, of course, diagnose the systems. Automated issue remediation. So there's a lot of automatic tasks. Maybe you've scheduled a backup, you forgot to schedule a backup. We will automatically add a virtual machine into a backup job for you. So a lot of automation is in part of the product. Orchestration and automation. So we have intelligent recovery orchestration, that part of the product, and you can reuse data. This is important. If I'm backing up data, it's just lying there. But with VEEAM, of course, yes, I can bring this up as a data lab. I can test new patches in an isolated environment. I can bring up backup schedule to recover backups in real life, give people access, and you have that security. And this is very important. Now, and this slide is very important, is VEEAM availability platform. So what is this? This is our portfolio. So VEEAM's goal the last few years, about 5 years ago, the new direction, or chapter 2 in VEEAM's history, it was decided that VEEAM will do hybrid cloud and focus on that. That means we do protection for on-prem data centers, remote offices, SaaS solutions, and cloud and private public environment. And also VC as a service provider. So ODP being one of our definitely our biggest service provider in Oman, that can provide you BaaS and DRaaS as a service. And also they provide this for Office 365 protection, also very important from Oman Data Park. Now, the core product, of course, yes, is still VEEAM VEEAM Availability Suite. And this has much more than just backup. It's VEEAM backup and replication. So this is, of course, is backing up the virtualization. It manages the physical, the cloud, everything can be managed from this VEEAM backup and replication. And it does more than backup, it does replication. It means backup replication. It means it can do virtual machine replication. And also it can do continuous data protection automatically for VMware that gives you an RPO of 15 seconds is part of the product. Part of the product is also VM1 that does your, of course, is your monitoring for your virtualization, your backup environments. This backup environments can be on-prem, remote office, in the cloud. It does all that for you. And this makes it very simple. So the hypervisors, of course, is VMware, Hyper-V, Nutanix. And then, of course, we have plugins for Oracle, SAP HANA. We do file shares, the quickest in the industry that we are providing. Part of this integrated is the agents for Windows, Linux, and Mac. Is also there for PC, workstation, and very important, it's integrated in this. It's not separate, it's there. Also, protection for VEEAM agents for IX and Solaris. It is integrated, of course, yes, into VEEAM backup and replication. If you want to protect VEEAM backup for AWS, it protects EC2 instances, it does RDS, it even does the VPC networks, and it protects that. What's important, you can manage everything on-prem, even if it sits in the cloud, and it gives you full mobility. So usually I can take a virtual physical machine on-prem, recover it in AWS. I can back up something in AWS, bring it up back to on-prem, not a problem. And we do exactly the same for VEEAM backup for Azure product that I'm backing up storage, snapshots, long-term and object storage. And I can also bring this from Azure to AWS, AWS to Azure, Azure back to on-prem. It's full control, gives you full mobility and full control of your data. And this is very important. And another one we've added at the beginning of this year was the VEEAM backup for Google Cloud Platform. Now, and this gives you also integration into VEEAM backup and replication that I can move this workloads between these different clouds. I can move it between on-prem back to the cloud, vice versa. It really doesn't matter. It's about supporting different workloads and store it wherever you want and not locking you in any environment. Now, what makes this so cool is that you don't need different products. It's one license. So it's called VEEAM Universal License. You have a license today. I protect a physical server. Tomorrow you move it to Azure. It protects the day. You don't need to contact us. It's already there. It's part of the product. There's no extra, like extra stuff you need to do. Application away, all the functionality, even putting long-term backups in the cloud, all that is included in the product. VEEAM believes in simplicity, and this is one license for any instance. So all this can be protected with having a few licenses, and you have total mobility in this. Now, other stuff that's add-on licenses is VEEAM Disaster Recovery Orchestrator. This is a specialized add-on license for guys running VMware, and they have their own DR. And this will provide you a web interface where you can create disaster recovery plans. This disaster recovery plans will be documented for you, and it will tell you where you're lacking in your SLAs, if you need more resources, where you're unsuccessful. And what it does, it can do VM replication when I'm replicating with the failovers and test it in an isolated environment. I can do continuous data protection testing, the 15 seconds, how quick can I bring it up on the other side? And you can specify what I want to test in this application. I want to bring up application A with 20 VMs. What is the sequence of the boot up? How many do you want to bring up at the same time? What do you want to test on each of them? And it will document that. The other thing also it does, if I have a backup and I put this backup as a backup copy in my DR, I can do an automatic restore and even document that. The other thing also with NetApp and of course here's Lenovo, if you're doing storage replication, I can do the orchestration of bringing up that VMs automatically, change the IP address, everything else in the DR side. So that's quite a cool product or add-on to have. The other thing that we're doing is VEEAM backup for Microsoft Office 365. This is not just, guys, this is not just mail or archiving. It's OneDrive for Business, it's SharePoint, it is Teams that it protects. It also protects on-prem. If you're running Exchange maybe on-prem as a hybrid with 365, or you want to protect SharePoint on-prem, that integrates. And this gives you capability to recover vice versa. And like I also mentioned, ODP does this on the VUL. It gives you this functionality to use them as a BAS and a DRAS. Also for 365 to do protection as a service for your 365 environment. The other thing that's the new kid on the block is Kubernetes. So if you're running containers and you are managing it with Kubernetes, we have a product called Costin K10. And what this provides is free functionalities to you. It's providing you the capabilities for backups, for migration, and also for disaster recovery. So example, if you're running something in the cloud and you want to bring it on-prem to a different platform, or maybe you want to have something on-prem and you want to take it to a different platform, or it's maybe just a different version, all that migration can be done automatically for you. And this is, so we see that the new thing in the industry is people starting using containers with Kubernetes, and VEEAM covers this. So this picture is, VEEAM is there for, it's a future-proof investment on, doesn't matter where you're going. The business tells you tomorrow go to the cloud, you covered. If you need to go from the cloud to another cloud, or maybe you need to come back to on-prem, no problem, no changes needed. VEEAM will cover you in that, not a challenge. VEEAM drives real results, and free yourself from maintaining fragmented legacy systems for data protection, backup, and recovery. And you can see 74% of customers increase their and free up a lot of space. That's very important. The next thing is mitigate risk and reduce IT costs through intelligent automation. And you can see there's a 77% of customers saw reduced risk of data loss and reduction downtime. The next thing that is, it releases trapped data and drive flexible across all platforms. It doesn't matter which, if you're running on the cloud, on-prem, remote office, of course, yes, it's covered. 68% of customers receive significant cost savings by reusing data. Provide seamless data security, protecting your data, customers, and brand. 45% of customers experience reduced risk in audit and compliance failure. Thank you very much for this session, and thank you very much for joining this. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christian, for your presentation. If there are more questions coming from the attendees, we will forward it to you and you can reply to them directly. All right. Thank you very much. Have a nice afternoon.